You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many
discount.
discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Queen's Summer Break. This is an episode from a couple of years ago from our Patreon vault. We are talking Tudor ghosts after we did our series on Katherine Howard a couple of years ago. This was a lot of fun, and we hope y'all enjoy. If you like this kind of stuff, check out our Patreon, and we will be back from our summer break in September. Oh, and if you're new to this show, we curse like sailors. We're going to use a lot of inappropriate language. So if you don't like your history with a couple of F-bombs, thanks for stopping by. All right. Cheers, bitches. Hi, this is Katie.
And this is Nathan.
And you're listening to Queen's Podcast, the show about women in history.
Time to get spooky.
Yeah.
So you guys know that we absolutely love to get ooky spooky.
Yes, we are fans of the spooky. And Nathan, you kind of took over telling the ghost story today. So what are you going to tell us about?
Ooh, well, we're going to kind of hit a little bit on our previous topic, which was Katherine Howard, and we're going to talk about some of the ghosts of Hampton Court.
Oh, Nathan, I've been to Hampton Court. I need to go back again because when I went, I was in the shittiest mood, and I just was not in the mood
Not into
for
it, just not into it.
Well, it was snowing, sleeting, and hailing in London that day.
Oh, so all of the things.
Yes. And the gardens were closed, which everyone's like, oh, Hampton Court Gardens. And I'm like, I didn't get to fucking see them. It was all closed. And then right as we were walking in, I stepped in a puddle, and that's how I found out I had a hole in my boot. And
I hate to laugh, but that is like, oh, gosh. Oh.
So the entire time I was there, I was in a bitchy mood. So I need to go back when when it's nicer weather and I can appreciate it all better. You've seen pictures and stuff of how pretty it is.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, but I can totally relate to that because it seems like when you go on vacation, there's always that day or so that something just doesn't go right.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn it.
The only thing that was like the saving grace of that day, and the picture is horrible because like it was inside, it was dark, and you can't use the flash on your phone of like the old ass art. And so there's my husband, in case anybody doesn't know, is a tall redhead with a beard. So he stood in front of the Henry VIII portrait and did like the same pose. And I posted something like, it's Catherine's husband. Oh, and Henry VIII or something like that.
Clever business there that you got going.
Yeah. So when we finally do our London trip, we'll have to do Hampton Court along with the Tower of London.
Ooh, and I bet Tower of London's also haunted.
I'm afraid to ask what the ghosts are up to at Tower of London. I've never put on my Ghost Tracker app at the Tower of London because it just seems like I don't want to know, you know?
Yeah, I don't want those weird things coming through.
Mm-mm.
But let's give a little bit of the history behind Hampton Court very briefly.
Okay.
So it was built by Thomas Wolsey in 1514, and Henry VIII moved on in at about 1528, and the property just basically became the hub of the Tudor dynasty. Like, that's where all the wives stayed at some point during their time with Henry.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the happenings were. It was all happening at Hampton Court.
Happening at Hampton. I like it.
So naturally, you've got to have ghost sightings, right?
You gotta. I mean, I think that all old ass houses are haunted, even if it's not like ghosts that you see. There's
There's something attached to
And there's
something.
residual energy kicking around. There's gotta be.
Oh, hell yes. And, there's just something about a tragic, traumatic, historical event that maybe a ghost decides, I'm going to stick around a little bit longer.
I also love putting tragic and you said tragic. What was it? Tragic and traumatic. I love a tragic. I love it. But no, you're right. Because, it's a residual energy. And whenever you are really stressed out, that's what's going to stick around to be like, oh, I got to imprint my energy on this place.
Yep. And then sometimes, if you're a ghost fan, sometimes ghosts can attach themselves to the structure of a home so that when you renovate it, all of a sudden it stirs up some of that activity. So we did get a little bit of that going on at Hampton Court, that when certain things were done and things were renovated, the ghost activity increased because it's like all these spirits that were attached to the staircase. Well, now that you're tearing down the staircase, they're like, where do I go? You know what I mean? So it's that sort of belief system that a lot of ghost hunters do believe in, is that when you, because they've seen it, I watch lots of ghost stuff, but they see it whenever you renovate your house. Like if you were to renovate an old house of yours, you might get some ghost activity that happens because you're moving things around on them. They don't know what's going on. So
that is so interesting. So there is this podcast, if you're into ghost, even if you live in Austin or not, though it is based in Austin, my friend that lives in Wales loves it. It's called the Night Owl Podcast. So, they went to the Clay Pit. Remember we went to the Clay Pit and got that special menu?
Mm-hmm.
They went to the Clay Pit, which is a Indian restaurant here that back in the day was like a bootlegging place. They'll talk to the people that work there and then come back later with their own psychic medium and named Sarah, and she'll scope the place out. I got a reading with Sarah, right as COVID was kind of coming to an end. And we're talking about flipping our garage. Because when we moved into our house, it was big enough for two people. But now that we both work from home, it's like, oh, she was like, I don't necessarily want to say that you have spirits at your house. She was like, but there is an energy there that gets really stressed out when y'all talk about doing renovations. You've already done some renovations. And remember we redid our kitchen, huge redo on our kitchen. And she was like, that really stressed him out. And she's like, so just kind of be mindful of that. And now we just got someone to come out and do a quote for finally flipping our garage. So my plan is, if we move forward with it before they start working, so maybe walk around the house and just be like, hey man, where else could you hang out? How are you? What can we do to make this right?
Down boots, sage that house and tell him that, hey, we're here to help. This is harmless.
Hey man, this is all gonna be good. Yeah.
And if you don't believe in that, what's it hurting for you to do that?
Exactly.
It's not hurting anybody.
Because I love ghosts. I believe in ghosts. My husband is always like, I don't want to say I disbelieve, but I'm not a believer yet. And so I think if I walk around and just kind of tell the ghost what's up, he's not going to be like, stop it. He's going to just let me do it. Anyway, Hampton Court Palace.
Yeah, enough about Katie's ghosts and how Katie's been ghosted before. Let's talk about royal ghosts. Ooh.
Yeah.
And first, we're going to start off with, of course, Katherine Howard. How could we not?
I mean, that's what brought us here today.
So we were talking about Tradic.
Talking about Tradic. Oh,
she was Tradic AF.
What a Tradicy.
Yeah, don't believe us? Just check out all the 3 episodes that we covered.
Yeah. So much trauma for such a short life.
So this it's a lot to unpack. I don't want Katie to have to go through summarizing all of this because she has PTSD just reading about Katherine Howard, I'm sure.
Little bit.
So Katherine, long story short, TLDR, she was accused of cheating on Henry VIII with 2 different men. So whether or not there was an actual sexual relationship seems to be a little bit up for debate, but back then they considered emotional cheating, physical, sexual cheating as well. So Katherine was like 18. She's a little baby, and King is into his 50s. So gross. There's that dynamic.
Don't love it.
Dynamic.
No. Don't love it.
But seriously, what do you expect of an 18-year-old at that same point? She's not going to emotionally bond with a 50-year-old man who has a stanky leg. She's going to bond with somebody who's more her age. And
I don't think Henry ever tried to really bond with her anyway in any shape.
And she was a social butterfly.
Performative.
She was the arm candy. She wanted to be flaunted around and bonded with. So she wanted that emotional connection. I feel
definitely.
Like.
Yeah.
And so we can acknowledge that, yes, she did have an emotional cheating, but she's 18 years old. And her husband's old as fuck. So that's what happened.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Then there was that whole thing that, oh my God, you weren't a virgin whenever I married the king. Oh my God, you weren't a virgin.
Okay.
It's like, was he?
No.
Okay.
Not even kind of. Jeez.
So that's a whole nother layer of misogyny that had to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Blech. So what we're getting at is that Katherine was eventually imprisoned for this, specifically in now what is called the Haunted Gallery. So it's in this gallery that people have reported hearing screams. So
that'd be so scary.
The story goes that when Katherine was under investigation, she was locked away in that area of the castle near the haunted gallery. Well, one day she burst out of the room and was screaming at the top of her lungs, basically pleading to save her, because she knew what was coming.
Yeah. And we know she was already a ball of anxiety already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the sensical part of your brain reacting to that.
No. So she has this outburst, and she knows that Henry VIII is in a chapel that's right next to that hallway.
Yeah.
So she's trying to get him to hear her. And so she's screaming. Whether or not Henry heard her, there's no documents of if he heard her screaming or not. So we don't know. But I think we can know that at least he heard of her freaking out like that, right?
Yeah.
Even if he didn't physically hear her scream, I'm sure somebody was like, oh my God, she had this fit.
She was freaking the fuck out. Yeah.
He would have found out about it. And guess what? He didn't give a fuck.
Well, just like with, he just completely removed himself from the situation with both her and Anne Boleyn. He was just like, I'm sure they were giving him updates, but he just was not involved because he was so calloused.
Yeah. Because we know that the chapel's close enough. If someone was screaming at the top of their lungs, he was just so callous that I'm sure he just blocked it out.
Yeah,
and was just like, whatever. Ugh.
Fuck that guy.
So people to this day will actually see the apparition going down the hall and hear a woman screaming. So there are multiple people that have reported that. And I mean, it's really not hard to feel like her energy could be stuck there.
Yeah, because I'm sure it was such a burst of energy too.
Yes, and it's the dramatic, sad, angry, something that could stick itself to that hallway because it's such an emotional thing that happened that it rips that fabric of time, and something gets stuck in that same thing over and over. So
just playing. And Nathan, do you want to explain to people, just in case anyone is their first time listening to a ghosty podcast episode, the difference between an intellectual haunting and a residual haunting?
I'm so glad you asked.
Okay.
So a residual haunting is what we see with Katherine Howard here, where something traumatic happens, or maybe somebody's really connected in a loving way to something, and they do it over and over and over again, or it's a very traumatic event. That it's like a broken record, where that event just keeps playing over and over and over and over, and it can't move on. It just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over. as opposed to an intellectual haunt, where if you think of a Ouija board, that would be more of an intellectual because it's thinking about the questions that you're asking it. It can respond to you whenever you say, hey, make a knocking noise. Then it makes a knocking noise for you. So it can actually comprehend what you're saying and react to it, as opposed to a residual haunt that's just like that broken record. That
More like an imprint.
It's just an imprint. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was a very good description. Very good.
Thank you. There's also other reports that the room that they locked her away in has this cold, sad, depressing vibe to it. So people with the woo-woo vibes would be like, hey, something dark is trapped in there. Okay.
Something. Yeah. Well, in that hallway, there have been, like when they do tours, there's been women that say, I think it's only ever been women, but like a couple of women have like passed out before.
Yep.
They were just like so overcome with emotion.
Yep. It was actually 2 separate women on 2 separate tours on the exact same spot on the exact same day.
Oh, shit. So something was popping off that day.
Yeah, it was on the same day, the same spot, 2 different women, 2 different tours.
Shit.
So that's a little bit more than a coincidence. Like,
that's wild. I didn't realize it was the same day because, if it's like over the course of like 10 years or something and 2 women pass out in the same spot, I guess you could kind of be like, but it was the same day.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little suspicious. Like, it's like, there's, again, the story is there. So sure, if you're a skeptic, you're saying, oh, it's just because there's so much historical value at the Hampton court that people are seeing these things. But for us woo-woo people, when we see that there's a coincidence that happens over and over again, that's something to be noticed, not discarded. Yeah. Like, that's something to be like, because I'm a firm believer that there really is no such thing as coincidences. There's reasons.
And also, just from what we know about Katherine Howard, so I've read that the story about her running and screaming down the hallway wasn't documented. But I don't know, like, who the fuck knows? Like, maybe nobody wanted to write it down to, like, spare her, make her look better or make her look worse. I don't know. But what we knew about her that I didn't know before researching her was this anxiety that she had, this freak out gene that she had. So it's not just that one moment. She was probably marinating in the freak out for like 2 whole weeks before it came to a head of her running down the hallway. So that's no surprise that made an imprint,
Yeah, there was a lot of nerves. All the negative emotions pretty much are kind of attached to that event. So no wonder.
No wonder.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit, not as tragic.
As tragic?
But let's cover the next queen, Jane Seymour. So, Katie, I'm gonna hand it to you. Give us just a TLDR Jane Seymour summary.
The only one he truly loved. Rude. That's a quote from Six the Musical. No, so it is Henry VIII's 3rd wife. And she died of complications of childbirth after giving Henry VIII the son that actually outlived Henry that he'd been wanting for so long. And then after a really difficult birth at Hampton Court Palace, she died. Like, 2 weeks later after Edward was born?
It was like literally a couple weeks done.
Yeah.
And after she died, Henry, in my opinion, really hyped her up as this goddess almost figure, where it's like, oh, God gave me a son through her, so therefore she's this goddess figure in his head. Did he truly have these deep emotional feelings towards her when she was alive?
I mean, I've always thought no, just because of that time whenever she like tried to do the queenly thing and be like, pardon these people. And he was
down.
like, and he's like in front of everybody, like, remember how my last wife was murdered? And you don't do that to someone you love.
Yeah.
So I've always thought no. And also, there was just nowhere to fit it in the Katherine Howard episode. And I didn't know this when we did Jane Seymour. In the book I read about Katherine Howard, it says that while Jane Seymour was like laying on her deathbed, like Henry VIII was like, so do I need to cancel my hunting trip? And his advisors had to be like, it's going to look bad if you don't. So if you're so in love with somebody, don't you want to be there on like when they take their last breaths or whatever?
Yeah, that's a pretty obvious. And it's like once she died, his whole opinion of her like changed.
Yeah, she was the phoenix from the ashes. He was buried next to her, and he had family portraits done while he was married to Catherine Parr, and they painted in Jane Seymour instead of Catherine Parr, which I think Catherine Parr was like, that's cool.
Direct quote.
Direct quote.
But like, I think it's because her life was cut so short and he had this longing for her, and she must have been ordained by God to give me a son, and
She
had
gave me a son.
some crazy shit. But could you imagine, like you said, like being her and being shut down in court? Like, remember what happened to my last wife? Like,
In front of everybody, I would be humiliated and scared.
yeah, he's chop happy. And it sounds like your head's on the next block. Like, yeah.
Well, do you think that Jane Seymour, like whenever she was like, oh, the king's gonna make me the next queen, do you think in her mind execution was ever what was about to happen to Anne Boleyn?
Yeah.
Or do you think she was just gonna get sent to a nunnery or something?
Yeah, I think she thought it was going to be innocent at first. And then when that happened, she's like, oh, shit, that's a red flag.
She's too far in it now.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's too late for that.
As soon as weather heats up, I get the itch to refresh my whole closet. But I'm not about to drop that much money on stuff I'm going to wear once and forget by August.
Right? That's why I've been loving Quince. They've got timeless pieces that are actually affordable and make me look like I've got my life together.
I picked up this 100% European linen dress from Quince. It was like $40, and I swear it looks designer. I've worn it to brunch, to the farmer's market, to lie dramatically on the couch. It does it all.
I got their Italian leather sandals and a linen shirt, and the quality, chef's kiss. It feels like luxury, but without the rich uncle price tag.
Plus, I just love that Quince works directly with top-notch factories that actually treat people right. So you're looking good and you're doing good.
So go upgrade your summer wardrobe already with Quince.
Go to quince.com/queenspod for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/queenspod. You know what doesn't belong in your hot girl summer plans? Getting roasted by your wireless bill.
Yep. While you're planning beach trips and backyard barbecues, your phone plan should not be the thing holding you back. That's why I made the switch to Mint Mobile.
Mint has premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. That's right, 15. Same network, same coverage, way less cash.
All their plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and you can even keep your phone and number. I use it, and you should too. My old plan, it was highway robbery. Mint Mobile saves me a ton without sacrificing service.
So while everyone else is sweating surprise charges, you can be chillin', literally and financially.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/queens.
That's mintmobile.com/queens. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month, 5-gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for the first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees are extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Many people like considered her a plain Jane. She gets that a whole lot, which I feels a little bit unfair. Like, was she well educated like Anne Boleyn and Catherine of Aragon? Hell no. She wasn't.
No, but not most people weren't.
Yeah.
Most women at least weren't.
So she couldn't have been a complete dud to catch the eye of the king. Like, she had to be in.
I don't know. She would. She was in her late 20s and had only ever had one serious marriage proposal. And like her younger sisters had already been married. So it kind of seems to me, I mean, who knows? Maybe also she did have marriage proposals that she just wasn't into them. Who knows? But like with Anne Boleyn, we know that she had lots of suitors. Like, and Jane Seymour had been at court for a long time too, and Hatton. I honestly think Henry was just like, what is the opposite of Anne Boleyn?
That's fair. That is fair.
But you're also right. She probably wasn't not attractive at all.
Yeah, and she had to have been able to hold conversation and communicate.
She was probably really good at blowjobs.
Oh, that's it. You heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Official. We are scholars. Yeah.
But needless to say, the blowjobs worked, and her and the king get hitched. So she gets pregnant. 2 weeks later, she dies giving birth to her much-awaited son because, proud Mary and Elizabeth I could never rule a country because that floating uterus. You never know what's going to happen.
It might just fall out your ear one day. How embarrassing.
So what does this all have to do with Hampton Court? Well, it's where she died after giving birth to Edward. So people report to see her on the Silver Stick Stairs. Apparently she's holding a candle, and she's located right next to the room where she gave birth to Prince Edward. And it said that her ghost appears on her son's birthday. So the Daily Mail has a photo of a ghost that they think is Katherine Howard. It's not from a reputable source, but the image is there. And looking at the image, I see blonde hair, fair skin, if it's not a smudge, right?
Or like a statue.
Yeah, but it fully looks like a person. And if they zoom in on it, the woman looks like she's kneeling, maybe praying at a stand, blonde hair, fair skin. So that gives me Jane Seymour vibes more than Katherine Howard. Maybe Katherine Howard praying for her soul, but Katherine had like light brown hair, auburn hair. This woman looks like she has blonde. So I'm going Jane Seymour on this one. But again, guys, it could be a totally made up picture.
Yeah, it could also just be like when I first looked at that picture, which we can put in the show notes or put on Instagram. But when I first looked at that picture, I was like, is that not just like some kind of statue or something?
Yeah. So the reports were that after the young man caught a photo of this, he went to the people that worked there and was like, I just got this weird photo. Is there like a statue or something or a mirror or something somewhere there? And the guard was like, no, I've seen her too. And confirmed that he had also seen the very same thing in the very same area. And that other guests have reported the same thing. So, this isn't like the first time we see this figure is in this photo. We do have other eyewitness accounts backing up this photo as well. So, maybe not.
Interesting.
But that's right next to the stairwell or the staircase. She's also been seen wandering around the palace's clock court. Apparently, she's looking for her son and husband, which poor baby Jane, just searching for her husband.
She was in
son,
labor.
Yeah. Oof.
She was in labor for so long. So, that really wouldn't surprise me about like the residual energy with that as well. 'Cause I mean, that's traumatic.
And maybe she's kneeling down to pray to be like, God, get this fucking baby out of me.
Yeah. And then she survived. And then her death was kind of slow too. I mean, 2 weeks is a long time to die from like the infection that you get. So it wouldn't surprise me if she's got some residual energy sticking around there too.
Yeah, for sure. Because in my opinion, yes, it's traumatic, but she also has the son that she gave the king. So there's also that energy that could be positive as well, which only just fuels more reason why she would be stuck there. Because any sort of energy, good or bad, can attach itself to certain objects or certain homes or certain areas. So not out of the realm of possibility.
That is, it's a creepy looking picture. When I first look at it, I'm like, oh, that's a statue. But if you're like, oh, it's a ghost, it's, oh, wait, that is pretty creepy.
Yeah. So the next one, in my opinion, is creepier. So, yeah. If you Google Skeletor, Hampton Court, you should see a photo of a man opening up doors that looks like he's got a skeleton's outfit on, but dressed in a cloak.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into the Skeletor thoughts and who that might be. Because the story goes, on the first night, there's 3 consecutive nights that they noticed that these doors just swang open out of nowhere. Swanging. So the first night, they swung open and there was nothing there. The second night, they swung open at about the same time. And then they saw this ghostly figure dressed in a cloak that looks like he has a skeleton's face and skeleton hands, looking real fucking creepy, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, he's definitely creepy looking, but to me it looks like someone in a costume.
That's the story here, is that some people are like, this is just so realistic. Is this someone in a costume? So the people that work at Hampton Court say no. They tried to find somebody in the area at that time, and they looked and scoured. They said everything was locked. Some say it's a practical joke because somebody dressed up in a costume to try to make headlines to do this thing. So that's the story. The thing that I found interesting is, of course, everybody's like, who is it? Whose ghost is it? What ghost do you think it is? And what do you think everybody thinks this ghost is?
Henry VIII?
Yep, there you go.
Why would a ghost look like a skeleton?
That's where I'm at. I think this is a hoax, in my opinion. It's just too perfect. It's just too well thought out. It could be a prank. So the people at Hampton Court who worked there didn't know that it was happening. It was just somebody broke into the castle somehow and played this prank, or stayed overnight, or figured something out to play a prank like this.
Yeah.
It's just too fantastical.
Why would a ghost look like a skeleton? Why wouldn't they look like this one? And I want to believe, but I just don't.
Thank you. I feel the same way. Like, whenever I read this one, I was like, I have to include it because for the skeptics out there, this is your proof that there are people that are playing pranks and probably doing that stuff just to get attention. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen this picture, I've seen this video before. It's definitely got people's attention if that was their plan.
Yep, it worked. But this next one, the final ghost, is one that I do think inhabited Hampton, or still inhabits Hampton.
Tell me more.
Yeah, and of course, every fucking haunted place, I feel like, has this one character that always shows up, and it's the lady in gray.
There's always a gray lady.
Yeah, there's always a gray lady that we don't know why the hell she showed up to the party, but she's here to party. We just got to figure out who the hell she is.
Okay.
So the thought is that this is the ghost of a woman named Sybil Penn. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. Sybil was the nurse to little Prince Edward, so Jane Seymour's son. She was also a nurse to Queen Elizabeth I. When Queen Elizabeth I got smallpox, she took care of Elizabeth first, nursed her back to health, got her back on board, and the moment that everything seemed okay, Sybil got smallpox.
Ugh.
Sybil literally dies days after. Like, it hits her, and it hits her hard. So she does not survive. She ends up dying in service to the Queen. She was buried nearby Hampton Church, and apparently when they pulled down the old church in the 1800s, they started to see apparitions of her and things started happening.
Oh, so this is what you're talking about when something gets torn down, the ghosts like don't know where to go.
Yep. She's like, I've been going to this church my whole life. Now it's not here. Where do I go? Because her poor little soul's trapped and she doesn't know where else to go. She's used to going to this church. She likes the church.
I hate that.
Yeah. And apparently from there on out, her ghost, they would see the apparition move into the room that she lived in. So people would witness a white gray lady moving into the room that used to be her apartment. She's also seen leaning over what people have speculated is a child's crib. So she's looking over it. So that's probably Prince Edward.
Yeah.
That she's looking over. She's also seen visiting all the courtyards. Here you go, Katie, with all the flowers and the pretty stuff. So I feel like
that I didn't get to see.
Right. You hate her for that. But you're alive. It's okay.
It's okay.
That, to me, this could be an intelligent haunt because there are some things that panned out and we'll talk about them. But this seems like she's just enjoying her time. She's walking around the courtyards, doing her job, like taking care of the kid, visiting the courtyard to see the pretty flowers that Katie didn't get to see. I mean, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so sounds great. Looking at the paintings, being like, oh, I knew that guy.
Without a hole in her boot.
Without a hole in her boot. Because she can just float. She doesn't have to worry about puddles.
So near one of the apartments that they think might have been hers, so it's near the one that she goes in and out of, there was a tenant that's staying there. So apparently the Hampton Court has like apartments that they sell out to elderly people so that they can stay there.
Oh.
And one of the tenants was like, and this is literally right after they've been seeing a lot of her stuff going on. They ended up hearing this wheel spinning and they were like, what's that noise? And the tenant complained. And of course, the landlords went there and were like, I don't hear anything. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Next night, sound of the wheel spinning again. And it was like, what is going on? And then eventually there were some renovations done and they removed the wall in that tenant's room. And there was an old wooden wheel, like a spinning wheel that was stuck.
Like one of those old sewing machines that
Like
had like the wheels.
And it was just spinning randomly in the middle of the night at certain times. So there's no draft. It's all blocked in. There's walls around it.
And
there's
no one knew that. That reminds me of, was it Chillingham Palace that we talked about before that had the little boy that they found like his remains in the walls, and then after he got a proper burial, he quit haunting the place.
Yep, it's the same sort of thing. I feel like she's just doing her job. Whatever that wheel was there for her doing her job, she was doing it. And so it's just like she keeps like, I don't know, but at the same point, when people discovered her, that's whenever the wheel started spinning. And like, I don't know, it's very, very bizarre. But
so there was no story of the spinning wheel until after they tore down that castle.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's just trying to do her job. She's like, well, y'all took away my home. So now, I don't know, y'all need me to sew something? Yeah.
Yeah, I legitimately think that's what it is. I mean, there's also been stories of like knocks and bangings. Of course, that's a very common story with ghosts. One elderly woman complained that there were noises again and nobody believed her. I'm like, okay, guys, you're in Hampton Court. Just believe these people.
Believe these people that are like, shit is haunted, because it might be.
Yeah, right. So with this lady, they ended up excavating one of the fountain court, and they actually found 2 skeletons of 2 men that were just hastily buried from like the 1600s.
Shit.
And once the bodies were given the proper Christian burial, the ghost went away.
I feel like that is such a reoccurring story in ghost stories. It's like they just want the respect that everyone deserves when they pass away.
They want to be acknowledged, and that's why they're trying to get someone's attention by doing these bangs and things and trying to make themselves shown.
I want to get buried. Yeah, I want to have a respectful end. So yeah, wild.
Yep. So
wild.
that's the ghost of Hampton Court, guys.
Well, thanks, Nathan. That was spooky and absolutely perfect. It makes me want to put together the favorite castle in the UK I ever went to was Warwick Castle.
Ooh.
And I did a haunted tour there. And it kind of makes me want to put together, like revisit that. So I might do that before spooky season is up and have some Katie story time about Warwick Castle. How does that sound?
That sounds fun because I love anything haunted.
Me too. Me too. All right, Nathan. Well, this was so much fun. So I will catch you later this week because we've got a whole new queen to talk about here on the podcast.
Woo, so excited.
Woo.
Cheers,
All right.
bitches.
Cheers, bitches.
All you need is a few minutes to start your day off with something historic when you listen to the This Day in History podcast. Every day there's a new episode for you to listen and learn about what happened that day way back when. So listen and subscribe to This Day in History wherever you get your podcasts. That's This Day in History wherever you get your podcasts.